and welcome to the Cult Cinema Circle podcast. My name is Jesse, and I will be your host. So today we're going to go over what I watched in the month of July of 2024. So this month I was able to watch a couple different things here and there. So TV show-wise, I was actually watching some Sabrina the Teenage Witch, because for those who may not know, I'm actually launching a new podcast. I'll still be doing this one, but I will be doing another one where I'm going to be talking about Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So I have been watching that a little bit and getting some episodes prepared. So plan for that to drop in September, actually, because I want to line it up where it's actually premiering the same day that Sabrina premiered back in 1996. So we'll see how all that goes. And it just gives me time to get some stuff prepared. And then once I have all that together, then I'll be able to actually do it kind of week to week sort of thing. So yeah. And then the other thing I was watching actually was Melissa and Joey, funny enough, because I have just been on a Melissa Joan Hart kick, I guess, this month. And so I was watching that. I actually finished the first season of that show, and I actually thought it was super funny. It was pretty good. It's a show from ABC Family, which now is Freeform, but it was back in those days. It was 2010 to 2014, I think it was. It has her, Melissa, so it's Melissa Joan Hart, it's Joey Lawrence, Nick Robinson, Taylor Sproul, I think her name is, and then just like a whole host of other characters. It was a good time. Like I kind of liked my watch of it, to be honest. So that, and then I'm trying to think of any other TV things. Not a whole lot else that I've been thinking of. So that's what I've been watching TV-wise. But film-wise, we'll go through what it is, and you'll see what I'm kind of working on. The first thing I watched in the month was actually on July 4th. At least that was what Letterboxd tells me. And it was actually A Simple Favor. This is directed by Paul Feig, who actually is Mr. Poole from Sabrina the Teenage Witch on the first season. He also did Bridesmaids and a couple different things. He's very well known. But I actually was given this by a coworker of mine. They told me to actually watch this movie because we got into a conversation about something or other, and they told me about this, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna pull up on that. That sounds great. So for those who don't know, A Simple Favor, it's about Stephanie, who is played by Anna Kendrick. She's a dedicated mother and a popular vlogger. She befriends Emily, who is played by Blake Lively, a mysterious upper class woman whose son Nikki attends the same school as Miles, Stephanie's son. And when Emily asks her to pick Nikki up from school and then she disappears, Stephanie undertakes an investigation that will dive deep into Emily's cloudy past. So for me, I gave this a 4 and a little heart. I think this movie is really good. I liked how just it's very a kind of a little bit of a neo-noir, but it's just this, it's very colorful, very good to look at. But also, it's just it's a good time. I think Anna Kendrick's having a really good time. Blake Lively's having a good time in this movie. All things kind of hit for me, and I just enjoyed it. Has a little bit of we'll talk about Gone Girl, I guess, because I also watched that. But it does have a little bit of Gone Girl vibes, a little bit. But I generally like A Simple Favor, so pull up on it if you like that kind of thing. Then the next thing I watched was actually Miss Congeniality from 2000. It was on Fandango, and I decided to watch it. So for those who don't know, this is a Sandra Bullock movie. So this is about local FBI office. They get a letter from a terrorist, only known as the Citizen. It's determined that this terrorist is planning to attack a beauty pageant, a Miss America beauty pageant, and so Gracie Hart has to go undercover as the only female agent in this office, really, at the time, and she has to go undercover to this pageant to try to save the day, pretty much. And I will say I did generally like this. I gave it a 3 and a little heart. I do understand why people like it quite a bit. Actually, I think the movies that made us gay just covered it with actually Elizabeth Teets, who I had on my show, and they had her on their show. But and I was listening to the episode a little bit, but this is a good time. I mean, I didn't hate my watch of it or anything. Not my favorite beauty pageant movie necessarily. However, I think it was fine. I'm not a gigantic Sandra Bullock fan, but I do like her generally. She's fine in most of the things she does. This one I was kind of you're supposed to get her as kind of a geek where she's whatever. But it's, I don't know. It was fine. It wasn't terrible, but I just was I wasn't blown away by it or anything like that. But I thought it was a fun little watch. I didn't mind it. Then I started watching. So I will be doing Friday the 13th. I think I mentioned that before. I'll be doing a franchise episode soon enough, probably in September is when that's going to drop. So I'm going to be recording that. And so you'll notice I was watching a bunch of Friday the 13th movies. So I did watch Friday the 13th from 1980. So if you don't already know, this is about a killer at a camp is killing all these camp counselors pretty much. And there is then a final girl who is at the end of the movie, and she finds out what's actually going on and who the killer is. And we all know the story of Friday the 13th a lot of the time. It's also where we get Jason Voorhees, although for those who know, Jason's actually not the killer in this movie. So anyway, but this is 3, and I gave it a 3 personally, a 3 out of 5. It's fine. It's not my favorite Friday the 13th movie. However, I do really like I like the series in general for the most part, and this one does have a little space in my heart. There's some people who really think it's boring. I do think it's kind of boring, though. I will say this much, that Sean S. Cunningham should not direct because he just, at least in this, is just a little long-winded for me a little bit, especially for this kind of movie. But I still like it, though. Don't get me wrong, but I definitely see why some people are like, oh my God, this is like a slog to get through sometimes. But it's a good time, and it's iconic, but there's that. Then I started, after Friday the 13th, I started on another journey of a franchise. I got through some of it. I actually watched the Saw movies. I saw, see what I did there? I watched Saw and then Saw 2, actually, on the same literal day. So we have Saw. I gave that a 3.5 and a little heart. If you don't know what Saw is, so it's about these people who are stuck in a room together. There's like chained together, and pretty much like this killer is trying to make them learn about their lives, and they need to win back their lives, and they are put into this like really horrible situation. And it's the OG, man. I had seen this many years ago, so I don't think I had actually seen it as an adult, and I thought it was fine. It was perfectly good. But yeah, that's what I did. And then Saw 2, I had seen also younger. I just said this was the one with Beverly Milch-Hill in it from Seventh Heaven, because it is. And it's the one with the the pit of hypodermic needles. Oh, Jesus. But we also find the Jigsaw killer. He's the one who is like killing everybody, or he's not really killing people, but it's more like he is setting people up to kill themselves, I guess, in his traps and shit. But yes, so this is actually directed by Darren Bousman, who did Repo, the Genetic Opera. I had an episode on that last year. But yeah, this was fine. I gave it the same rating, to be honest, as the first one. So I did watch a couple of the other ones, but I think I only watched like the third one. We'll get to that in a minute. But that's what I watched personally. It's going to take me a minute, probably. But I do want to watch all of them, and even try to watch Spiral. I guess Jigsaw and Spiral, sure. And then I also want to watch Saw 10 because people were raving about it. So why the hell not? Then I watched more Friday the 13th stuff, but this is not a movie. These are documentaries. So they were actually all on Hoopla. So it was nice. So one I had watched already before, because it used to be on Shudder, it's not anymore, but it was on Hoopla. It was broken into 2 parts. And this one was Crystal Lake Memories, the complete history of Friday the 13th. So I broke this up over a few days. And like I said, it was on Hoopla, broken into one part and then another part. When it was on Shudder, or if it is on Shudder still in your country, of wherever you're listening, it is like a literal 6-hour-long documentary. But it's really good. This is from the same people who gave you Never Sleep Again, the Nightmare on Elm Street little documentary they did. It was like 6 hours. It's the same guy who I think also directed The Haunting of Sharon Tate. He should not direct. He's good at documentaries, but he's not good at actual narrative work, I don't think. So anyway, this is a really good documentary. It goes over all of the things with Friday the 13th in the series, even to the TV show as well. but I really enjoyed myself with it. I didn't rate it or anything because it's kind of hard to rate a 6-hour documentary. But I would definitely say, and I'm doing it for the research, of course, as well. Although we're not going to delve deep into all the production history and shit when we do that episode. But, I wanted to kind of just have that. And then the other thing I watched was actually His Name Was Jason, 30 Years of Friday the 13th. So this was actually done by the same guy. So the thing is that this I had watched years ago. This is right around when the remake was coming out. So I don't think they even mentioned the remake in this. This actually came first, and then Crystal Lake Memories came second, because that was 2013 or something like that. So this was because they were doing the remake. So they really kind of used similar, it's the same people. So like they pretty much used similar footage from His Name Was Jason in Crystal Lake Memories. And then there's some little different things, but not that much, like only a little bit. And Corey Feldman's in there, I think. Or no, Tom Savini. That's not who it was. No. I think it was Corey Feldman in Crystal Lake Memories, if I'm not mistaken. I believe this was actually Tom Savini, who was kind of our host of this, which makes sense, I guess. But yeah, that's what this was. So this was a fine time. Like, this is actually 90 minutes. It's not 6 hours, so that's good. But I technically think that Crystal Lake Memories is technically better, because it's kind of like those In Search of Darkness documentaries. They're all like 6 hours or something. I will just watch the fuck out of those. I don't know why. I just like learning. It's fun. But on the same day, I also decided to watch, because I had not seen it and I wanted to, because I will be probably covering this later on this year. Not this movie, but the first movie of the series. I wanted to watch Night of the Demons 2 from 1994. And I really do like Night of the Demons from 1988. And I do kind of think the sequel is a little better than the unpopular opinion, but I think it's better a little bit. If you don't know, this is about Angela, the hostess from hell. She summons her army of teen demons when teens from St. Rita's High School, which is a little Catholic school, decide to go party at Hull House on Halloween. This is the one that has good old, who is it? It's what is her? So it's her. It is Amelia Kincaid, and it's also Jennifer Rhodes. That's who it is. But Christine Taylor's in this as well. I thought for some reason the other guy was there. No, he's the other, because the third one, that's what it is. The third one, Night of the Demons 3, I think that one has one of the guys who was in like the second episode, or the first episode actually, of Are You Afraid of the Dark. He's in that episode, or he's in that show, he's in that movie, which I thought was I haven't seen Night of the Demons 3. Maybe apparently it's bad, so I don't really want to watch it. But this one has Christine Taylor in it, and that's always a good time. So I pulled up on this, and like I said, I really liked it. I would probably own this one, to be honest. We'll talk a little bit probably about the sequels when I actually cover the movie, but because I want to see what my guest has seen. So, yeah. But anyway, so then I decided to keep it on the sequel train a little bit, and I decided to watch probably my favorite Friday the 13th movie, spoiler alert, is Friday the 13th Part 2. I fucking love this movie. This is taking place apparently 5 years after the Camp Crystal Lake incident. This is a pretty much... it's a sequel, and this is our introduction to Jason. You have a baghead Jason, I guess, and so he's killing these people up at a Camp Packanack, and I just fucking love this movie. It's a great final girl in Amy Steele, Ginny. I just think it's directed really well. Steve Miner does a really good job, and it's a good time. It's a really fun time. So this is like my favorite personally. I gotta say, like, some hot guys are in it, and it's just like, it's a good time. I really like it personally. Then the next thing I watched after that was actually because the girls at This Ends at Prom, the ladies at This Ends at Prom did this for an episode because it is celebrating, I believe it's like 60 something years. Oh my God, this was 1959, so I can't do math. I think it's 65 years. There you go. But I decided to watch Gidget from 1959, and this is, if you don't know what this is about Frances, but she is then given the name of Gidget. I'm not going to say what Gidget means, but because it is a kind of difference of the M word, the disparaging name for a little person. That's where it comes from. But yeah, Frances, she's like going out with her homegirls to the beach, and well, she gets into a little bit of almost a drowning accident. She gets saved by this surfer named Moondoggy, and she's like fascinated by these surfers, and she decides to like try to become a surfer, man. And you know, she ends up doing good, and she ends up actually becoming a surfer and being able to like, you know, find some, I don't know, she gets to find some independence, some safe, you know, she gets to explore some things she's never done before, and she's just as good as the dudes, and she's awesome. I loved Gidget. This is, of course, Sandra Dee, and a lot of other people, you know, James Darren, Cliff Robertson, you know, older actors, I guess. But it was a good time. I really liked Gidget, and it's so interesting when you watch it and you then know that all these beach movies from American International Pictures, we talked a little bit about that when I did Psycho Beach Party with Elizabeth, but, you know, the fact that you have like, but Gidget was a really fun time, and it sparked this beach movie craze, if anything. And some of those beach movies are hot garbage, but I will say that this one is not at all, and you should watch it. Plus, it was like directed by a man, but it was written by a woman, and it's just, you can tell, like, there is just, I loved this movie so much. It was so good. So please check out Gidget if you haven't already done so, and if you're at all interested. So then the next thing I watched was one of my least favorite entries in the Friday the 13th franchise. Spoilers. But I fucking hate Friday the 13th Part 3. I watched that. I didn't want to, but I did. And oh God, I just said, like, why is Shelley on this trip? He's just annoying. Shelley is Larry Zerner in this movie, and he's like the overweight friend or whatever. And God, he's just so annoying. Like, why is he friends with these people? Why are they friends with him? Like, he is just not a good time. Like, he's not at all, he should not. The worst thing for me for a horror movie is for it to be boring, and that's my issue with this movie. For me, it's boring. Obviously, this is about like Jason beat people's ass. Obviously, it's still directed by Steve Miner, but it tanks to what, you know, Part 2 gave us, and you know, that's just my opinion. That's just my thought. I don't care about the 3D. I really don't give a shit. I just think it was not very well done. I think Dana Kimmel did not do a good job as the final girl. This thing was just boring. I was just over it. So that's my opinion. You'll hear more about it next month. Don't you worry. But anyway, so then the next thing I watched after that, to cleanse my palate a little bit, and also because I got the other podcasts coming up, I decided to finally watch the TV movie of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So if you don't already know what this is about Sabrina Sawyer, not Sabrina Spellman, but Sabrina Sawyer, who is sent to live with her two aunts in Riverdale. And she finds out on her 16th birthday that she is in fact a witch. I go into this a little bit more in the podcast. It's called Other Realm or Bust, by the way. I totally forgot to say that. So please go follow it. But yeah, anyway, this movie was pretty much made by Showtime. Paula Hart, who is Melissa Joan Hart's mom, ended up getting the rights to the Archie comic character of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She was able to get this film made because her daughter had been on Clarissa Explains It All and been the lead of that. And this is what then prompted the TV movie. And then once this TV movie actually did pretty well in the beginning of 1996, It was then by Paula Hart pitched to different networks, which then ABC was one of the networks that said, yep, we want your project and we want to give you a time slot in TGIF. And the rest is history. So yeah, go listen to Other Realm or Bust when it comes out next month. To hear more about that if you're interested, I go into that as well. But it's a good time. I like this. It's perfectly good. It has Ryan Reynolds in it as a young boy, young man. Tobias Meller from Disturbing Behavior is in it, and also the Carrie TV remake. You also have Laura Harris is also there. Mary Ellen, or whatever her name was, in The Faculty. It's a good time. Michelle Baudouin, who would end up being Jenny on the TV show, she's in this as a girl named Marnie. It was a good time. I really liked it, and I enjoyed myself. So, also Justin's mom from Queer as Folk is one of the aunts. Love her for that. So it was a good time. I really liked. I liked it. It was good. I do like some of the episodes for the TV show a little bit more, but that's just me personally. But yeah, that's what I ended up watching for that. Then the next thing I watched was actually something you're going to hear next week. And I watched Mystery Men from 1999. I did a whole episode on this. You'll be hearing that soon. This is about Champion City and this ragtag team of superhero kind of wannabes in a way. So you have like Ben Stiller is in this. You also have Hank Azaria and William H. Macy. A bunch of different people. And it's pretty much like this kind of parody spoof of superhero movies, and I'll talk more about that one in the episode. That's only about an hour long, I think, so it's not too bad. But this is a good time. It was based off of a comic series, like a little indie comic series, and it was actually pitched alongside a bunch of different superhero pitches from films and stuff, and this one ended up getting made. This one has a big ass budget, but ended up not doing that good. But it's kind of turned into this little bit of a cult film, which is very cool. And yeah, I really liked this. I gave it a 4 personally. Maybe some people would give it a little bit less. I get it. But I also think like this movie pretty much knows exactly what it is and what it's doing. And I think it's a little bit underrated, sort of. I understand why some people don't like it, but I also don't care because I think this is a fun time. It's kind of all over the place tonally a little bit. But I do think like overall I like what they're doing with this, and it's a good time. And I wish it was a little shorter though, I will say that, and you'll hear my thoughts on it in the episode. But overall I do like this, and I think that, you know, for as horrible of a production as this was, from what I understand, I think the product is pretty decent. And it also gave us All-Star by Smash Mouth, which is literally what the music video is. So I think that's really fun. And then the next thing I watched, I already mentioned it, but I did watch Gone Girl from 2014 because I had watched A Simple Favor earlier this month, and this one came out before that, and it kind of has a little bit of those vibes. This is a David Fincher movie, so of course it's gonna be long as hell. It was 2.5 hours. All I said is that I would watch the shit out of Missy Pyles's MSNBC show because I fucking would. That's why. It's great. I gave it a little 3.5 and a heart. This did make me really love Rosamund Pike. I mean, of course I already liked her, but yeah, it's her and Ben Affleck, I believe. Yep. So it's her, you know, a couple different people, but it was a good time. It was nice seeing like Patrick Fugit in it. Loved seeing Missy Pyle here. We love Missy Pyle. I also loved seeing Lee Norris in this because he has also been in other David Fincher films. He's in Zodiac and he's in this. He's Minkus from Boy Meets World, which is really fun. I was like, damn, Minkus is on my screen. What the hell? But yeah, I just really enjoyed myself with this. If you don't know what this is, it's about Amy Dunn, who's married to this other person, Nick Dunn, and they move back to Minnesota where Nick is from. And, Nick's wife disappears, and it becomes this whole kind of media circus thing. And this man sees the spotlight turn on him when he suspected that maybe he isn't innocent. And you find out a whole lot of shit going on. You find a whole lot of twists and turns, if you will. it was a good time. You know, like I said, David Fincher movies for me, I have seen this one now. I think I have seen Fight Club. That's a David Fincher film, right? Yeah, it is. It is. I've seen that one, and I think I've seen Seven. Yeah, I think I did watch Seven before. I've only watched so many of his films personally. I just don't know. Like, maybe he is like somebody who I'd watch more of, but yeah. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, Gone Girl. It was a good time. I liked it. So, you know, I thought it was a good time. Then the next thing I watched was actually the last Saw film that I watched this month. I only got to 3 of them, but I watched Saw 3. This is the spoilers, I guess, for anybody who wants to watch the Saw movies, I guess. This is the one where Jigsaw gets brain surgery, I guess, is what I would say. This one is, Jigsaw has disappeared, and a bunch of other shit happens. Yeah, you know what Saw is, bro. Like, you already know, like, this is about people being kidnapped, put into these, like, weird ass traps. They have to, like, try to escape from them, and nothing is what it seems like. They bring a doctor into this, and all this shit. It's a whole thing. So yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into it. But yeah, that's what Saw 3 was for me. Then the next thing I watched after that was actually, because I'm going to be covering it this month, I have the episode ready to be edited. I decided to watch Detroit Rock City from 1999. This is an Adam Rifkin movie. This has Sam Huntington in it, Lynn Shay, James DeBello, Edward Furlong, all the people in it, and Natasha Lyonne's there. It's a good time. This is about these 4 guys in 1978. They are teen fans of the band Kiss, and they will do anything to go to the fucking concert. And they get into a night of craziness. Also, for those who don't know, the John Waters movie Pecker currently is on the Criterion Channel. So if you have that subscription, or you want to spend $10 or get your, free trial or whatever, go watch Pecker. It's great. Edward Furlong's really good in it, and Christina Ricci's great in it. But anyway, thought I would just give you that public service announcement. But it just makes me think because of Edward Furlong. But anyway. Yeah, Detroit Rock City. I thought it was a good time. I liked it. If you don't already know, this was actually kind of produced by the band Kiss. They've been trying to do this forever. So that's part of why this is a thing. But I liked it personally. This definitely feels like a teen boy movie for sure, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But this is definitely something where I generally liked it. And, I thought it was a good time. You'll hear more of my thoughts on it on my episode I did. But I did generally like it. It was on Hoopla. That's where I watched it at. But, it was a good time. I would definitely recommend it if you're at all interested in watching, like, a movie taking place in the 70s. Or you want to watch something, that has Kiss music in it or something. I think it'd be a good time. So that's just me personally. But then the next day, or not the next day, but the next couple of days, I just wasn't watching anything really. Or I was maybe watching more like Sabrina or Melissa and Joey kind of thing. But I did watch another movie I'll be covering this month as well. And I have a wonderful guest. Mark J. Parker is coming back from the Virgin Suicides and from the Release Date Rewind podcast. But we watched and we covered Camp Nowhere from 1994. So that's going to be coming out this month as well. This is about these 4 friends who don't want to go to camp pretty much, and they decide that they're going to band together and not go to camp, but instead they're going to hire an adult, I guess, played by Christopher Lloyd, to go and have their own summer camp. And then a bunch of other kids get involved with this, and it's a whole thing. It's a good time. I liked it enough. I gave it a 3 out of 5. This is on Disney Plus currently. This was kind of a little bit of a lost movie, I think. This is something where I don't think everyone knows about it. And I mean, it has like Andrew Keegan in it. It has, like I said, Christopher Lloyd's there. I mean, it has a bunch of people before they were like hit big or were famous like that. One of the nuns from Sister Act is in it. Sister Mary Robert, I think. Yes, that's her. She plays like a doctor in this movie. It's a good time. I didn't like super love it or anything like that, but I didn't think it was like terrible necessarily. I thought it was a good time. I thought it was an interesting time. So I'm glad I watched it and covered it, and you'll be hearing that more later this month. But yeah, it was pretty good. And it's so funny because like this is sort of like, I haven't seen this movie, but like it's kind of like the Justin Long movie accepted a little bit, which is interesting. I think even Will Friedle from Pod Meets World or Boy Meets World, he even said that because they covered this on their show, because they know somebody who's in this movie, Hilary Tuck. So they did a whole episode where they talked to her about this movie and everything. And yeah, it was really interesting. And it is kind of, yeah, I after looking that up, I was like, oh, this movie is kind of like that. Isn't that funny how that all works, And the next thing I watched after Camp Nowhere was, because I had covered it this past month and, it was still on Criterion Channel. I thought, why the hell not? I watched Trick from 1999. That's right. The same guy who brought you the Lizzie McGuire movie also brought you this movie about two gay guys trying to hook up. Yeah, go listen to my episode about that, of course. But like, this is about Christian Campbell and JP Pittock or whatever, or JT Pittock, whatever his name is. I have it right in front of me. John Paul Pittock. It's JP Pittock. I got it. Tori Spelling's in it. It's a good time. This is about these two guys who are trying to have like kind of a one night stand, and misadventures happen where like they're not able to actually hook up, but then they end up kind of falling for one another. It's really cute. I gave this a 3 out of 5 in a little heart. I personally think this is such a fun little gay movie, and I think you should watch it if you're at all interested in that kind of thing. I already told you about it, and go listen to my episode on it, but it was a good time. I liked it, and I think they just don't make movies like this anymore, and I'm sad about that. But whatever, it's fine. I just wanted to cleanse my palate, I guess. And then the last thing I watched was actually today when I'm recording. I wasn't really watching a ton of other movies. Like I said, I was watching more TV stuff and all. Because again, you only watch so many movies, and when you're like, oh, okay. But I decided to treat myself this month. I've had a weird month, if anything, just stuff going on, but nothing bad, nothing too crazy I can't deal with. But whatever. But I decided to treat myself, and I decided to watch Clueless from 1995 to finish out the month. As you already know, this is like a 5-star movie for me personally. Funny enough, I do think I technically like Fast Times at Ridgemont High a little better than this. However, this comes from the same lady, so I mean, I can't say, like I hate Clueless and then like I love Fast Times, you know what I mean? Like, no. These are both like great movies to me. But yeah, this one's so good. This one I grew up with. I did not grow up with Fast Times. I watched that more when I was a little bit older, like in my teenage years, and then as time's gone on, I've just really enjoyed it. But this one I definitely watched when I was a kid. As you know, I did a whole 2.5-hour episode on this with my sister, of course. Yeah, I love Clueless in this house personally, so that's just me. I mean, I could talk about Clueless all the time, but yeah, it was a good time. I have the Blu-ray of this, so I popped that in. That was good. I was actually texting my sister, and I told her, I said, I was like, so this movie has to go in their Criterion collection, right? Like, I mean, she was like, well, what's that? And I was like, oh yeah, I had to explain to her what that was. And it was like, yeah, it's like pretty much like they would re-release it, but they would put a bunch of bomb ass special features on it, and then they would try to make it as the highest of quality as they could or whatever. But I mean, I would pay for it personally. I think it's fucking great. I love Cher. I love just this like world she lives in. I just like how it's like a really nice little movie, and it's just a good time. So yeah, that's what I ended up finishing my month out with, and I'm glad for it. I'm a better person for it, if anything. So I love that personally. But yeah, that's what I ended up watching this month, y'all. Again, not too many like, anything crazy. I started the Saw series. I did start my rewatch of the Friday series, so that's fun. And we'll have to see. I'm trying to think what I'm going to be watching this month. I actually probably will end up watching, I don't know if I'll rewatch Pecker. I might, because Criterion has, what do they have? They have A Photographer's Gaze, so you can watch Rear Window, and you can also watch, what else is there? Oh, Philip Seymour Hoffman. You have some of his movies coming up. Paul Thomas Anderson, I think, has something in there too. So it's a good time. Like you can have some fun. For sure. I think I'll actually be watching 1 Hour Photo with Robin Williams. That movie is going to be crazy, but I am excited to see it. I want to see it because I don't know anything about it really. So we'll see how that goes. And then, yeah, I'll probably end up finishing, because I am going to probably record the Friday stuff, the Friday the 13th stuff. I'm probably going to record that this month at some point. So I'll probably try to fit in the rewatches of that, although thankfully I have watched those movies before, so it's not like I need to go too in depth. But again, it would just be nice to kind of have them still in my brain, my noggin. We'll see how that all goes. So if you want to reach out and tell me, hey, what are you watching in August? Or what did you watch last month? Or whatever, you can reach out on social media, on Instagram at Cult Cinema Circle and on Twitter at Cult Cinema Circle if you want to. You can also email me at cultcinemacircle@gmail.com if you want to send me a professional email, and all that good stuff. And then just remember to rate, comment, subscribe, on your podcatcher of choice, follow my show, listen to my ramblings, all the good stuff. But without further ado, let's wrap this shit up, and I will catch you on the flip side next month. Take care. Bye.